All right. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. We see, good afternoon. We see mostly everyone here. You guys can see my screen okay?
We can.
Great. So I'm going to dive right in. Welcome everybody to the T-CAIREM Summer Research Program information session. The purpose of this session is to give you all the details about our T-CAIREM Summer Research Program. I'll explain what it is, all the details that you need to apply. We'll also go through some questions that we've received because they're likely questions that you may have. And then we'll have lots of time for questions any other information that you feel is lacking, anything you want clarity on, the entire team is here. Okay. So many of you are familiar with T-CAIREM, but for some of you, this might be the first time that you're hearing about T-CAIREM or you want to know more. So I'll just give you a bit of a background of who we are. T-CAIREM stands for the T Center for Artificial Intelligence Research and Education in Medicine. It's a long title, which is why we go by T-CAIREM. We're based out of the University of Toronto, and we were made possible by a generous donation from the T faculty. And we were set up to advance AI in medicine through multidisciplinary collaboration between relevant stakeholders, including healthcare providers, statisticians, computer scientists, engineers, industry, and others. And we launched in 2020, and we are now have had the summer program for several years. I will say that really core to our mission and our value system is that we see AI as a team sport. And so we want to be welcoming of everyone that's interested in working in the space and from across different settings and organizations. So if you are very strong technical expert in AI, we welcome you. If you're someone that thinks about the implementation of AI and the ethical contributions, we welcome you. This really, and many others. So this really is about recognizing all the people that need to contribute to make AI in healthcare successful. I'll tell you a little bit about how we're set up in our team because it's very important to how we run our organization. So Mohammed Mamdani is our director, and we also are supported by the tremendous leadership of Rita Kandel. Mohammed's a visionary in advancing analytics in healthcare, has a strong track record of doing this and a wonderful vision, which is one of the reasons we're so excited to be in this organization and running programs like this. We also have a research stream led by Anna Goldenberg and Devin Singh, also world-leading AI researchers. Anna's a tremendous computer science faculty, and Devin's a clinician scientist who works in the AI space. We also have an infrastructure lead, which is important to the data infrastructure critical to enabling AI, led by Benjamin Hayes-Keynes, another leading scientist in this domain, and a community engagement and partnership lead with Mamatha Bhatt, who another tremendous clinician scientist in this field. So that leads us to education. We're the team putting this on today. I'm Laura Rosella, a professor at the university as well as the education lead, and joined very importantly by two education learner co-leads, Abhishek Maturu and Gemma Postel, who are on the call, I believe, and might chime in. They're tremendous student leaders in the AI and medicine space and really play a key role in co-designing all of our programs as well as participating. You'll definitely have a chance to meet and interact with them. And lastly, I want to mention Marianne, Dominic, and Zoriana, who are on the call, who make everything happen and also will address potentially some of the questions that come up in our Q&A period. So when we think about education and how we're thinking about how we want to advance education at T-CAIREM, we understand, and I mentioned this earlier, that there are different users. And as a result, the educational programming will not be the same for all of these. So we try and vary what we offer in educational offerings to think about these three groups. And there's hybrids and subgroups within here, but generally speaking, we're trying to reach the applied clinical user. So these are people that will work in the healthcare system, apply and use AI, may not necessarily be developing it, but are key leaders in how it gets implemented and have a key role to play. But they need to know how it works, they need to trust it, they need to explain it to patients. So that's one group. The other group are the technical experts, and we call these the AI methods innovators. These are people that are creating new methods, actually developing the AI technology that will be applied. And then finally, those that are advancing the application of AI. And these are people that think about the socio-legal context, the ethical issues, implementation issues, scale. So the reason why we mention all of these groups, and of course there's hybrids, and I mentioned subgroups, is that people that have come through our summer program have projects in all these areas, and you may identify more with one of these particular groups, and likely you'll end up working within a team where you're playing that role. So we just want to make it clear that our educational offerings are for all of these particular groups, and in particular this program, we like to actually see projects in these different domains. So finally get to the program, which is why you are all here. The goal of the T-CAIREM Summer Research Program is to create this experiential learning opportunity for undergraduate students, including undergraduate medical students, in the field of AI and healthcare. So with this intensive summer experience, it exposes students to careers in healthcare and AI-related fields that really are using AI to advance clinical care and patient health. And I'll talk about some examples of projects later on. This is an example of one of our prior years. We are now into our third year. Yes, fourth year. We've had 3 years. The first year is virtual, so those feels a little different, which is really tremendous. And the program's grown quite a bit. And we've really taken the feedback from the previous people in the program to really improve it and make it a better and rewarding experience. So it's a 10-week research position. Again, you're working with leading AI scientists and clinician scientists and other innovators in healthcare across Canada. And there's 30 positions available. We will fund 30 positions as part of this program. One of those positions is in collaboration with lab medicine and pathobiology, which means there's someone from that particular program, and the rest can come from anywhere. So this is an update from this year. All of the projects will have a U of T faculty member who works with U of T students or students from another university. That's how we've always had the program. So we've had students from all over, but they were always working with faculty at U of T. Or, this is the addition for this year, we will allow for supervisors from other universities, but the student must be then a U of T student. So U of T is funding and hosting this program. So there does have to be a connection to U of T, but it can come through the faculty or the student. And we're really hoping this broadens our network and the impact we're hoping to have across Canada. And also just, again, happy to say that we had many students from outside Toronto last year. So it really makes for a great opportunity to meet students and faculty working in the space across Canada. So the program is really based around supporting your project, but that's not all. We do have actually an intensive kind of learning session right up at the front. And this is a learning session that covers really key areas of AI. We do know that many people come with this background, but some really want to just get a bit of enhanced training. So there's an option to have a lot of these educational trainings right up front before you start, or right in the first weeks that you're starting your project. But also throughout, we meet in the summer. And this is really important because you're going to get embedded within your project, but we also want you to be embedded in this community. There are bi-weekly trainee round presentations. We profile the best trainees in Canada working in AI and medicine. So you will get a chance to participate and see their presentations. We also meet on a regular basis. We check in with you on your projects, and there's an opportunity for you to present. We have a mini conference that's really popular, really well attended by faculty at the end of the summer where you can talk about your work and showcase what you've done over the summer. And then we also sprinkle in what we call professional development sessions. So we bring in leading scientists and people from industry working in the space to talk to you about career opportunities and other aspects of AI in healthcare. So there's lots of learning opportunities above and beyond just your summer project. I just want to give you a sense of some of the projects that we've had. And in fact, if you go on our website, you can see all the projects from previous years. So you can check it out and see the range of projects. So you can see that, you know, some are working really specifically on a particular method. You can see we're going from a wide variety of clinical areas. And you can see that we're using lots of different methods, including qualitative methods. So there's not one AI project we're looking for. We're looking for people to work on projects where AI is the focus, and it can be in the methodological development, the application space. The other thing I'll say is no AI project is done alone. We know this is done in a team. So we know we're not expecting you to come up with a project that you will do in isolation. You will work with others and you have a chance to speak about that. But really the impact of the project is really important in talking about how it fits with our mission of advancing AI in healthcare. Okay, so let's get to some of the more nitty-gritty where I know there's a lot of questions. So am I eligible to apply? I mentioned earlier that competition is not restricted to U of T students. If you are a U of T student, you can work with any faculty member. If you're not a U of T student, you do have to work with a faculty member at U of T. And as we've mentioned, we have had students from across Canada, across programs. Currently, there isn't a program like this in many other universities, so we do tend to get people from all areas across Canada. International students are also welcome to apply, provided that they are currently enrolled in an undergraduate or medical degree program at a Canadian university, and so are legally allowed to work in Canada given their student status. And the program is a stipend-based program, so $7,200 for the 10 weeks. Many people stay on longer than 10 weeks. That's something you can arrange with your supervisor, your host institution. You don't have to just do 10 weeks if they want to keep you on longer, or perhaps keep you on in a part-time capacity going forward. Lots of those arrangements are made. That's outside our formal program. So what are we looking for? So this is a competitive process. We get more applications than we can fund. We can fund many, we get up to 30, but we can't fund them all. So we go through an evaluation criteria, and there is a committee that includes T-CAIREM representatives and staff that go through and rank all applications that come in. So the first criteria is about the relevance to AI in health. Some projects are very interesting and from a research perspective, high impact, but they're not directly speaking to AI and health applications. So really making sure it's clear from the description of your project that it's highly relevant to AI and health. That's the first criteria. The second criteria is the training environment in which the student will carry out their project. We're really looking for an environment that's going to be very supportive. So given the project, are they actually going to be able to achieve it in the environment? Do they have access to data? Do they have access to a team, expertise? Is the supervisor appropriate for the particular project? These are the types of things we want to make sure. And we look at this criteria to ensure the student will have a successful experience. We want to make sure that this is a good environment for the student. We also look at academic record, as well as any accomplishments or attributes relevant to the application. Any experience, for example, with research, doesn't have to be AI. We do get lots of people where this is their first research experience in AI, which is fantastic. But if you do have experience in a research setting, just more generally, that's really helpful. Again, we are trying to pick the candidates that will have the highest chance of success, given that we know it's a relatively short period. And we also look at equity, diversity, and inclusion, and making sure that we are serving people from underrepresented groups. This is really important to T-CAIREM, and really important that we're building capacity in this space that reflects all the people that the healthcare system serves. So that is it for the description. I'm going to go through a few questions that we've received, and then just queuing you up to get ready and ask your questions. If you have questions, please start thinking about them. Feel free to put them in the chat. We will monitor these and address any particular questions you have. If it's very, very, very specific and you don't want to ask it here, you could also send an email, but chances are your question is relevant to many others, so would encourage you to ask it here. So I'll go through the questions that we've received, and again, these might be questions that some of you have. The first one, I'm interested in this plus other research opportunities. Can you please add my email to ongoing projects? So we have a T-CAIREM mailing list. There is a lot happening at T-CAIREM. We love our summer program. We're really proud of it. It's really had a huge impact, but it's really only one thing that we do. We have speaker series, we have other research opportunities. So please sign up to our mailing list, and you'll really get a sense of, get a chance to get involved in many other things that T-CAIREM puts on. I mentioned earlier how many positions are available. We are funding up to 30, which is great. It is a popular program, and we do get more applications than we can fund, but we are in a position to fund 30, which we're really happy about. Are students from other medical schools eligible to apply? So yes, as mentioned, students from any Canadian university are eligible to apply. International students must have a Canadian permit allowing them to work in Canada, which usually comes if they're registered at a Canadian university in a degree program. We did get asked if this counts towards the research and opportunities program. We are not formally part of U of T research opportunities program. So if you're looking something to fulfill that criteria, this isn't it, although you still might want to apply regardless of that. This is a very popular question. How do I find a supervisor? So first we will say that you are welcome to find any supervisor that you like that's interested in this space. So you need not go with the list that we are putting on here, but I'm going to mention it. So many of you have connections, you're really interested in a particular faculty's work, and you would like to apply with that student. In terms of those that may not, because they're new to the space, we have posted faculty projects on our website. So you can see the link here. And maybe Marianne, you can put the main student link in the chat so people can start looking. And so we have a number of supervisors that are looking for summer students. So as I mentioned, don't feel that you have to go on this list, but if you're not sure and you're new and you don't know anyone, please check this list and find out if that supervisor will support you on your application. You do apply together the application specific about you, about the project, and about the research environment. So you have to have that agreement set up. What location would the study be, and can we work remotely in this position? So this is a great question, very popular question. And the location really depends on the research project and of course the supervisor for that project. So many of our projects are located at University of Toronto, and many of them happen at affiliate research centers up and down University Avenue. So it might take place in a hospital, for example, or it might take place in a research lab located on faculty or another institution, in the case of a U of T student working with faculty from another university. So the being in person or location depends on the project, which is why we want you to decide that with the application. Many of the projects that are data related have a virtual component or a remote component, but some of them do have in-person requirements for data pieces, or even lab meetings and other, some of our students end up shadowing clinician scientists in their clinical practice. to get a real feeling of the application of the work. So it really depends on the project. But I will say that many of them have at least some part of it that's remote. And we understand our program involves students from all over, that we've designed most of our things to be remote, most of our offerings, except the mini conference, which we have in person and we hope everyone can make in person. What background do we need to have a competitive application? So this is a really common question. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that's kind of why I spent so much time on the different people. The background really depends on the project. So if you are doing a very methodologically oriented project, we're looking for students that have background that ensures they have the skills to carry that out. If you're looking about on the ethical application of a project, or you're doing user testing on an AI tool, we're looking for someone with that type of evaluation expertise. So really, it depends on the project, and we will note if they're well prepared for the project they're embarking on. I want to be clear though here, we understand these are undergraduate opportunities. We're not expecting you to be an absolute expert in the area, and this is part of the learning. I will say though, some background in AI or more generally computer science or clinical areas might be an asset. So if you don't have any background and it's not clear how the skills in your undergrad training relate to the project, please make sure it's clear in the application somewhere, either how you describe the project, make that link for us. Again, we're not judging this in order to say this is good, this is bad, but we want to make sure that we are picking the students who have the highest likelihood of success. So well-matched background with a clearly articulated project and an environment that's going to support them. What are you looking for in a research candidate, and what opportunities would you provide them to excel in this area? So this sort of repeats what I just said, that really asking the supervisor what skills they're looking for and expertise in this project. And all of the criteria that we evaluate that I went over before are on our website. So feel free to look at it and make sure that it's clear in your application that those things are coming through. And I will mention that the professional development activities that we offer in the training rounds are a requirement. It's really important that you're not just meeting the people on your project team, which is obviously the bulk of your experience, but you're actually meeting others. And these professional development activities have been carefully designed for your broader training and exposure to meet other people as you advance in this space. So it is a requirement, and we've been very, I would say, thoughtful about it. We try not to make it too intensive and too disruptive. So, every other week, at most, and they're done virtually, so really easy for you to attend and engage, and then the conference at the end. Okay, more questions, and then I will get to the some in the chat. But thank you. I see that Zoriana and others are answering some of these questions. So do you have to have previous work experience or previous research in AI to apply? Great question, which we get all the time. No, the answer, not necessarily. Of course, if you're applying for an AI project and you have a little bit of experience, that's an asset. But we designed this program for people to get their opportunity to get their first experience in AI in medicine. It can be building on your previous experience as well, so that comes across very strong. And again, the expertise you want to emphasize depends on your project. So making sure that they line up. We also don't expect you to have prior research experience. Again, it's an asset, but we know that this is an undergrad summer program and we're giving you the opportunity to get some of your first or early experiences. So really just encouraging you to apply. Don't be intimidated to apply. We know that some people are new to the area. What are the specific responsibilities of the students? Now, this depends on the project, and this is why it's really important that you have that conversation and apply with your supervisor. This is the #1 question I would ask if I was a student. What are my specific responsibilities on the project? What are you hoping that I will contribute to this project? And again, many AI projects are team-based. So you might be responsible for a particular aspect of the team, of the project. You might be doing an analytical role. You might be doing a translational role. You might be doing a very specific aspect of implementation. There's lots of options here. So that this is something that we can't say for sure that these are your responsibilities. They really have to be co-agreed upon with your supervisor. And I mentioned already the professional development session. We have here a minimum of 75% as a requirement. We hope you attend 100%, but we do know sometimes there's conflicts, conferences, or other reasons you can't apply. So we are expecting to see everyone most of the time. And if your summer is such that you cannot, then maybe this is not the year you apply. Apply if you can and will make these sessions. And again, it could be the variance there of 1 to 8 hours is we only have 1 week at the beginning where there's 8 hours of programming, this is where we have, you know, some intensive training at the start, but most of the time it's 1 hour, 1.5 every 2 weeks maximum. And then there's the link again, and I believe it's in the chat. Everything I said, because I know I said a lot, is on there. All the details, all the dates. I will also say that the application is due on December 15th. That information is all on the website. Okay, last bit of questions. What should I include on my CV to stand out if you have no past experiences? So knowing that these are students early in their career, we look for potential. So any accomplishments that shows that you're dedicated to a project, that you're hardworking, that you can show growth, you know, awards, any volunteer or leadership positions, any projects you worked on. These are all things that show your potential to take on a project like this and succeed. What specific technologies can the students be expected to work with? So this is, again, really great common question. Do I have to know Python, for example? And we do offer some training on this in the beginning. That's in that beginning piece. But we cannot be prescriptive on it because every research lab uses different technologies, and it also depends on the nature of the project. So this is a great question for your supervisor. What, you know, if you are doing analytical work, what software do they work with, just to make sure you have those skills, or do you need to brush up those skills going into the internship, and any other specific technical requirements that's required going in. I will say that it's variable. I can't even say one's more common than the other. Obviously, Python's common in computer science, but people also use R, and then there's lots of other programs as well. Would you say having a knowledge of coding languages is helpful related to that? Again, it depends on the project. Sorry to be repetitive. I would say that having some background in coding is helpful, even if you're not coding. Understanding coding and coding logic is really helpful to understand AI. You may have to know it quite well if you are going to be coding most of your project. But if you're not coding, I always tell people it's helpful to just at least be exposed to some coding. I would say most people require some level of coding for their projects. And I did highlight a couple qualitative projects. There's also qualitative software analyses and qualitative methods. So that might be what's required in a particular role. But I will say that you don't have to be an expert and you don't have to have detailed knowledge unless we read the project description and see that, well, obviously this requires a certain level of competency in programming to be able to do this. So again, depends on the project. And I want anyone who doesn't feel that they're up to speed on their coding, know that we have a lot of resources on our website to help you. There's a lot of really wonderful free coding training out there. And so you can often actually get quite a bit, you know, in the few months leading up to your project. And of course, you'll learn a lot during the summer. And finally, what are some of the learning opportunities from this? So we really encourage students to align with areas they're interested in. So you might be a student that's just interested in AI and you don't have an area, a clinical area that you're interested in, or you might be really interested in a clinical area and you want to know how AI plays a role. And so we would encourage students to really align one way or another, but also remain open. You're going to learn things you never thought you would learn. That's a very common experience in our internship program, both working on your project as well as learning from each other. The benefit of being in a cohort is you get to hear about 30 different AI and healthcare projects. And for some, you'll get into it in a bit more detail. And so you really get exposed to the breadth of projects out there. And at our mini conference, you'll see a lot of them and then think, wow, I actually really love that area and I can build on that to move in that direction. So the big benefits, obviously, you'll get that intensive learning experience. You'll meet a huge network of people interested in AI and medicine, including faculty and researchers who are really engaged with this program. And you'll meet a network of others, students like yourself, who end up working together. We've seen quite a few collaborations come out of this program. And so those are the main benefits. Okay. I am going to pause and now open it up for other questions. And I see some in the chat, which I will just go through. And I will also say that if you want to raise your hand, feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can please put your question in the chat. And before I go into the questions, I will ask Marianne or Zoriana, is there anything I didn't say that you want to mention before I go into the chat questions? Nope. Okay. Great. So let's check out some of the questions. So we had questions about, just scrolling up, if you start if you have any if you just started, like if you don't have any transcripts from your medical degree, you should just upload the undergraduate degree. You can be your final year, but you can also put informal transcripts in progress so we can see what courses you are taking. Emily has a really good question. Can undergraduate students apply, or is it more for medical students? Emily, it's really for both. And so I would say in our first year, we had a lot of undergraduate medical students, but going forward, it's been about half and half. Undergraduate students in a variety of programs. So it could be health sciences programs, engineering programs, computer science programs, and then also undergraduate medical students. It's really not one or the other. And so everyone should feel free to apply. What's the hard deadline for applications? Good question. It is December 15th. It was not in the slides, but it was mentioned there. So please pay attention to that deadline. For undergraduate records, Ariana mentioned you can upload an unofficial copy of your transcript, and that students in course-based and professional master's programs are also eligible to apply. So this is, again, a new addition. So if you're doing a master's program, but it's not course-based, you are not eligible, meaning thesis-based. But if it is a course-based, we have allowed that. All undergraduate students are eligible and must be enrolled in a degree program. So this is really important. You must be enrolled in a degree program at the time of application. The question from Kieran, it mentions that students and supervisors must jointly complete an application. Does that mean one application form? Yes, that's what that means. There's one application form and you should go through it together. Lucy, you have, and you can click on that link and you can see the application form there. Can you apply to multiple projects with different supervisors? Yeah, you can. And we see the response there, but we will only accept you for one project. And I would say that if you have a favorite, it may not be your favorite. So if there's one you're really, really passionate about, put that in. Otherwise, any of the projects that you put in could be accepted. And we also we have had in the past faculty supervising multiple students, but that's more of an exception. Usually we have faculty, we try to have at least one with as many faculty as possible, but it has happened. Yeah, and then Marianne's just confirming you complete the application form with your supervisor. We found this to be quite a bit simpler. After the December 15th deadline, when might we hear about our application? So good question. Marianne, did we have an exact date on this?
We don't.
Okay.
The review committee, just because it transitions over the holidays, we're looking into the winter term.
Yes. And we're very sensitive that many people are eagerly looking forward to our to these so they can plan their summers. We'll try to have them out by the end of February. That would be our goal, so that people can start, by March for sure, you will know, and hopefully towards the end of February, so people can start making their plans. Okay, Audrey, this is a good question. Do we need to propose our projects? Are we mostly getting involved in a supervisor's ongoing projects? And how much of a role do we need to play? This is a great question. So we are expecting, for the most part, that you are getting involved in an ongoing project. Now, you might be doing a piece of it, and it might be even a new piece that wasn't originally conceptualized, but remembering this is 10 weeks, right? And these are fairly complex projects because they involve AI, they involve a complex healthcare application. And so usually the projects that we see, there's a piece that needs to be extended, or there's a part of a larger project, and that will be the student's focus. Occasionally we have seen sort of de novo projects. Just keep in mind the feasibility of it. So don't feel that you have to come up with a brand new project from scratch. That's not what we're looking for. We're really looking for an existing project, a productive environment where you can come in and learn, and definitely have a piece that's your own. And so your role can range depending on what the project is. And again, we've had students say, this supervisor had this project, I'm going to take what they've done and I'm taking it in this new direction. It can be that. Or I'm doing some very preliminary work so that we can then advance to the next stage. But generally speaking, there's some activity happening in this area, especially if you need data or access to data. Those things are not quick. So hopefully when you talk to your supervisor, you can, you're not just waiting the whole summer for data. That's what we want to avoid. So hopefully that clarifies. Okay. I'm going to just stop sharing so I can see people a little bit. Abby or Gemma, anything you want to add based on your experience with the program, and anything you think students should know?
I think you covered it very comprehensively. I think maybe the only other thing I would add is that I've always been surprised by the breadth of knowledge people bring in. A lot of people come with medical expertise, and this is their first AI project, or vice versa, with like heavy comp sci background, and this is their first sort of applied solving a real clinical problem. And it's been cool to see the experience people get. Some people talk about, getting to shadow their supervisor or watch a surgery, and as a computer scientist, that's really meaningful.
Yeah, I think everything was covered, but just the interdisciplinarity of this kind of work, and the opportunity that everyone will have to work with people in very different areas and learn a lot from them, I think is very valuable as well.
Great, thank you both so much. And there was another good question that came in. Our first year is eligible because they don't have transcripts yet. So Zoriana answered, yes, you are welcome to apply. You can apply your high school transcripts. I find it's also helpful if you can upload the transcripts of the courses you're taking now, because at least we can see what courses you at least will have completed, at least in the first semester, and year-long courses if you have them by the time your internship starts. And if you have any relevant experience like this, but you're just starting university, like these are the types of things. I know some people in high school have really tremendous experiences already and advanced coding and all kinds of things. So if that's true, then make sure that's apparent on your CV that's uploaded. Yeah, Audrey, good question. What does a candidate with the highest chance of success look like? So what I mean by that is that their background and skills match the project that they're proposing. So it doesn't necessarily, if you don't have any coding experience, that's fine. We've had lots of students in our program that don't have coding experience. But if they're proposing a project that it's clear it requires an advanced level or at least some competency of coding and they don't have any, that's when we'll say, well, this isn't really well matched. Or if they haven't made it clear from the research environment that they're not directly doing the coding, they're working with a data scientist and this is their role, then we're less concerned. So the chance of success is really about aligning what your background and skills are with the actual project. And it looks different for every project. So coding is, again, not a requirement. Like I said, I encourage everyone to learn some coding because I think it's really important to learning about AI, but it's not a requirement for the project unless it's really clear that, I'm going to lead all of the analysis using these convolutional neural networks, but I don't know how to use any software. Well, that's kind of hard to learn in a week. So that's where we'd say that's not really set up for success. But if you're saying I'm working with a data scientist, she's leading all the programming, and my role is going to be to translate or, whatever role that may be complementary with the data scientist, then we would feel better about that. So when reaching out to potential supervisors, would they like to see similar resume or an overall introduction? Yeah, I'll say as a supervisor, generally speaking, what I would like to see is, why they're interested in working with me, which means they understand the type of work that I do, and then why their background is relevant. So they may or may not need to see a CV. Usually it's helpful. I think most faculty appreciate attaching a CV, but more in the reaching out, you would say in the body of the email, well, I see that you work with this type of data and that's my experience, or you work in this clinical area and that's where my training is focused. So just kinds of some alignment, but usually attaching a CV would be their next question. So I would likely do that. Well, good question, Bo. It's not necessarily, it is related to T-CAIREM because we are building data infrastructure. And our data infrastructure holds lots of data that can be used, including patient level data. And I believe we do have some data sets in there that have genetic information as well. And there's a pretty slick data access process. You may need a faculty supervisor for a particular project, even if it's not related to the summer program. So I would just go on our website on the data infrastructure, the Health Data Nexus, and you can see what kind of data sets that T-CAIREM holds that has potential for analyses. Okay. Any other questions? Did I miss any?
I don't think so, Laura.
Okay.
Just checking.
Well, I want to thank you all for your interest in coming. It's so great to see the great turnout. And if there's any other questions, please reach out. You can reach out to Marianne directly or T-CAIREM email, which you can find on our website, and we'll be very happy to answer any of these questions. Again, you have till December 15th. Also, this session was recorded, so we will post that on our website. If I went fast or anything, or you want to review any of the answers, you can just check out the website and the answer is probably there. I know we went through a lot of questions, so I'm sure it's there. But I hope that many of you will apply. We love to see diversity in the project, so I hope you're thinking about these applications in AI and medicine in the broadest sense, and we look forward to receiving your applications.